So here it is, yet another buy, guys. I know I shouldn't be buying with the amount of cars I've got at the moment. So the sort of thinking behind it is this is another mega low mileage, small CC petrol car. Stuff like the vans and the bigger stuff, I can trade that out if I want. I'm going to keep hold of all the small little CC cars. But some of these need to go off for paint, and so I need stuff to keep me going in between. I've just got the little Fiat 500 back that doesn't need paint. So yeah, like I say, if things get sticky, I'll just get rid of all the larger CC stuff, the stuff that's not my specialist. Keep hold of the small CC petrols. Did I convince any of you there that it's a good idea to still be buying with the amount of stuff I've got on the go? Anyway, you just can't turn stuff like this down, can you? Again, massive thanks to Moores down in South Molton. So the lady a few doors up from the shop mentioned that she was going to be selling Mum's car. Mum's given up driving. Seems to be where a lot of my cars are coming from at the moment, doesn't it? It's a 63 plate, not sure whether it's 2014 or 13. I can check that a bit later on. Little Suzuki Splash. This was a shared platform with the Aguila, isn't it, I think, as well. And this one has only done 28,000 miles. It's one owner from new. 1.2 petrol, so right size of engine for what I do. Really nice colour. You obviously don't want to get too bland a colour on these. You've got to look a little bit funky. So with the turquoisey blue here, it's a good looking little car. It's decent spec wise. We've got the alloys. This one is also keyless entry. So I've got two keys for it, so you just put your hand on the door, press the button there to unlock it. So yeah, nice little car. The only problem with it being is there's a lot of paintwork to do it, and unfortunately this is the problem with low mileage cars. Low mileage cars, very low mileage, small CC petrol cars that are given up by, that people that are giving up driving normally get rid of, is normally the reason they decide, the point at which they decide to get rid of the car is when they've had that last prang after several before that makes them think, actually, I'm not up to doing this anymore. And unfortunately this is one of those cases. So if we start at the front, we've got, luckily the alloys are in good condition. That's because, once again, bigger tyres have saved the alloys. When they're low profile, the alloys get scraped first, but yeah, the bigger tyres have saved it. Loads of tyre tread on there. It's pretty much brand new tyre. This car actually has a new MOT on it, I believe, or nearly new. So we've got a scrape here, and it's obviously gapped the bumper a bit as well, so that needs readjusting, and it needs a little bit of paint just there. There's a little dent actually just in. As we go round, I'd be interested for your feedback on how much this paint you think needs to be done. Now my mindset is that with this mileage, it probably needs to be mint, because people like to buy low mileage cars with the idea they're being cared for. So if you come along and they're bashed up a bit like our Nissan over there, they're not so popular. Now the grille's been pushed in by the looks of it. I just noticed that, I hadn't spotted that before. That looks like it just needs re-clipping in again. Now I think we can sort that out quite comfortably. They have little clips that you need to get, there we go, get pushed in. That bottom one needs a there's a couple that need readjusting down there to get that to fit properly. We've got another light scraping down here, and I don't think this requires paint. That'll wet and dry out, so that corner's going to be all right. This all needs a machine polish down here because it's got the Devon rash, but this is quite severe here. So this will need grinding down, spot weld and pulling out, and then filling and painting, and it'll be that whole rear quarter there going into this door here, where there's another little ding that's been badly patched in. So straight away you're probably talking, what, nearly £300 for this corner probably, yeah, because it goes around there as well. And then on this corner again, it needs paint because we've got a scrape all the way down here, we've got dent there and scraping there, and that, I don't know, that might wet sand out or it might need painting. So we've got quite a lot of money in painting this. They did put this car on motorway, and they came back and were surprised. They said the bids were a bit too low for them. And then when I came and saw the car and explained to them how much paint needed to be done, they kind of understood. Because as I said, I don't think people don't buy a low mileage car and then have a tatty body on it. So it's going to need to be done. Now we did, of course, do our checks on it, because with this amount of damage on it, you never know if it was actually categorised by an insurance company as a category N. This would be all non-structurally damaged stuff. And the customer decided to keep the car anyway. If that was the case, it would knock about 25% off the value of the vehicle. So that's why you need to be doing your checks. So of course for that we use Car Vertical. Pop on your phone, bung in the reg, 63 UKK, jet vehicle. So the Suzuki came back as okay for theft, okay for mileage, okay for finance, and okay for damage. So this is a nice clean history car. Nice consistent graph there, nothing to worry about on this car at all. But the reason we do these checks is we know that isn't always the case. Check out what was found when someone went to buy this Suzuki Swift and checked it on Car Vertical first. It was okay for theft, okay for mileage, okay for finance, but it had a yellow warning for damage. Car Vertical even had pictures of the sale of this vehicle at a salvage auction. As you can see, the damage is substantial. That is a very heavy hit to the front of the car. If we go a little further down, we can see that this car was actually a write-off and classed as a category S, meaning it was structurally damaged. Obviously, this is the kind of information you absolutely would want to know, and it devalues the car by at least 30%, and you want to be checking the whole front end of that car to make sure that the repair was of really good quality. As always, I've left a link in the video description down below, so that if you want to check a vehicle that you are about to buy, one that you bought previously and never checked, or a friend's going to look at a car, you can get your own Car Vertical. And if you use the code on screen now, you'll get a nice discount. I want to thank Car Vertical for being a continued sponsor of Chops Garage. So as always with these cars, the bodywork is a bit banged up, but the rest of it is fantastic. Lock. Yeah, the rest of it is fantastic. All inside the seats are immaculate. No marking on those at all. Back seats are also in cracking condition. They're brand new basically. All the plastics are good. There's no scraping on any of the plastics. We've got electric windows, stereo controls. There's not much in these. Aircon. Check if that's blowing cold in a minute. CD radio. I'm sure you're not looking for me to have an exciting test drive in a Splash. We've had them before on the channel. This drives exactly as it should have. Driven it, like I say, for about 20 minutes. The engine, plenty nippy enough if you keep the revs up. Clutch is fine. Brakes are fine. It's all good. It's all good to go. Like I say, it's already got an MOT on it. The problem with this one is how long it's going to take to get it painted, because it's too much paint for me to take on. And I think Malk's probably about 2 or 3 weeks at the moment, and Davey about the same. So unfortunately, as great a car as it is, I'm probably not going to have it up for a sale for a while, but definitely one worth kicking about. I'll get it over to him as quick as possible, and fingers crossed we get it back and up for sale straight away. Well, as soon as he can get it done. But yeah, like I say, other than that, it's not going to need anything, is it? So it's got the MOT, all the tyres are good, the rest of the paint works good, the interior's mint. Shouldn't take me long after that. I think Auto Trader values it high fives, I think, maybe like 5.5 to 6k, something around there. I can't remember exactly what. So it's not going to be under that that magic under 5k mark. But again, it's the miles, isn't it? You can't have low miles and a cheap price point, can you really? So I'll be interested in seeing how much of the paint you guys think needs doing. I mean, I guess things like this on the front here could be left. They're not as big as I saw as the stuff on the back there. So you could save a bit of money and just leave that mark there. But you'd still want to get that bumper properly, wouldn't you? By the time you fannied around with that, you might as well get it painted. So in my personal opinion, I think we're going to need to do the 4 corners of the car. Right, we've got a couple of cars back from having their work done. Don't know how much I've spent on the 500 yet. I've got to get the bill off it. They've just dropped it off. But this went in to have its MOT, and I think they did a service for me. Can't quite remember. And they did the door handle for me. I provided the door handle, and they fitted it. So that's all good to go. It just now needs the mother of all cleans. Again, I think this was fairly low miles, wasn't it? Let's double check again. 2015, it's the Lounge. This is the spec that everyone wants, and this mint green. Again, as those of you that followed Chops Garage for a long time know, I cut my teeth doing Fiat 500s. So I'm looking for the keys at the same time. I cut my teeth doing Fiat 500s, and so I know exactly what people want from them. This is the best combination. Although I love the twin air engine, when they get older with high mileage on, you're better off having the 1.2 petrol. Like I say, Lounge spec with the panoramic glass roof and this mint colour is the way to go if it has a check interior, which this one does. The only problem with the check interior is it gets filthy really, really easily. And it always looks even worse on camera because the cameras can't deal with the design on it. So these are all going to have to be fully wet cleaned. Oh, yeah, they're all going to have to be fully wet cleaned. Here's our MOT, advisory free as always. We don't leave advisories here at Chops Garage, do we? So yeah, brand new advisory free MOT on it, so I need to get working on it straight away. So it's got its full MOT on it. I think it is just a case of valeting this one now. Mileage was, yeah, 38,000. I've got such a lot of low mileage stuff at the moment, haven't I? Such a lot of low mileage stuff. Yeah, it's got the auxiliary input on these ones. Again, is a big must on the Fiat 500. You can adapt them. If you're having a Fiat 500 that doesn't have the auxiliary input, you can adapt them, put a cable in through the back, feed it down there. Again, those who watched me for a while know it's got the Bluetooth on this one as well. Although those Bluetooth can be a bit finicky with Apple on these. They're not always the best with Apple. Something to bear in mind. They do work, but in these ones, don't forget, also have the city button that allows you to make the steering on the car twice as light if you're struggling to get into a car parking space, something like that. You don't want it when you're normally driving, but hit that, and because it's electronic power steering, it makes it like twice as easy. Starts up and sounds just like a 1.2 should. Can't remember what the history on this is. I'd have thought the books are in the car, but maybe they're in the unit. Can't remember. Let's check if the aircon's cold. I don't remember checking that. Yeah, nice cold aircon, which is what people are going to be asking me on every car at the moment, aren't they, with the heat the way it is. So this should be a nice little car. You've got the panoramic roof. They don't flip up on these. They're not a sunroof. They're just a fixed place roof with a little blind on them. Rear seats are in nice condition. They don't have anywhere near the level of dirt, so it's just the front ones really to the basis, but you need to really get a wet clean on these. You need to get these quite wet to get all this out, and then go over and over and draw it out. It's quite time consuming, but yeah, there's worse jobs to get done on a car, aren't there? It's looking like we put at least one tyre on that side. Whether they did one on the other side as well, I don't know. Yeah, a couple of rear tyres, so we did both rear tyres. The front ones look fairly new. They might be my cost as well. I think we did all four actually. No, I remember him saying to me now. Yeah, so he said to me, he said, there's really three. He said, so do you want to do a full set? And I said, yes. So it's got new tyres all round on this one. So should be a nice little seller. Should be a nice little seller. I say, just got to find the time to clean it. The other thing we had back is the Ford Fusion. So I don't know how many remember of this. I bought 2 cars from auction to prove to you. Was it 2? 3 cars from auction to prove to you that there really wasn't a lot of money in auction cars at the moment, because I get messages almost every day from people going, can you buy a car from the auction for me? Can you buy a car from the auction for me? And I say the same thing to them every time. You're not going to know what you're buying. By the time you've paid for the transport and everything else and got the fixes done, you might as well just go shopping on Facebook Marketplace and go and find a car local to you and know exactly what you're buying. There's no magic sort of path to riches by buying auction cars. So we bought this Ford Fusion, didn't we? And it had a bit of a noise from the engine. We couldn't quite work out what it was. I thought it was a pulley. Turns out it was a breather pipe actually, which shows how much I know. They changed that and that stopped the noise. Then they did a new MOT on it. I think I spent about £900 on the MOT on this. Ouch. We'll have a look at the invoice in a minute and go through what it was. It was a nice and clean, tidy car. Again, one that I don't need to do any paint on. I just need to give it a really good valet now. And again, with the money left in this one, I couldn't be doing paint as well. That would be insane. It was about 100,000 miles, wasn't it? Was it 93,000 miles? So the mileage isn't horrendous for the age, and the inside was really clean. I want to put a cover on the steering wheel because it's lost a bit of foam up there, which is a bit uncomfortable in your hands. Yeah, I mean, other than that, it's super clean. Luckily, like I say, there's no paint to do because we spent a bloody fortune on the MOT, didn't we? Let's go inside and have a look at what we spent on this and find out what potential margin there is there, just to prove once again. I say we did the Peugeot 107, the yellow Peugeot 107. I think we made like £400 of that, which is nowhere near enough of a risk because you know that there's up to 6 months for them to come back. And I think we did the Chevy Spark, which I think was a bit more profitable. Perhaps we'll have a look at that one. So before we do that, let's have a quick idea of what we think it's valued at. So we got now one there with a diesel engine, which is 2.5 with a dealer, 1,995 for a petrol with a dealer, 2.5 for an automatic with a dealer. That seems a good deal on an automatic. 1.6 petrol there, 2.5, 3.5 for a petrol there with 85,000 miles on it, 2 for a diesel, petrol 2.2, is that dealer? two and a half. I'd say as an average 2.5. Hopefully you guys would agree. Obviously you can get them a bit cheaper, but not everyone's spent as much money as I have making sure the car is bang on, and obviously mine's super clean as well. We don't know how many of these have got dings and scratches all over them and might have poor interiors, that kind of thing. Until you start getting into the detail of the ads, you don't really know. So we'll say 2.5. So Ford Fusion, we did MOT, engine noise, renewed inlet manifold hose, renewed near side front coil spring, strut top mount and roller bearing, renew offside brake pipe and bleed, renew offside near and near side suspension ball joints, make welding repairs to offside upper spring mount, rear exhaust mount, repair offside and near side shock absorber dust covers. Probably means sticking them back on. Did wheel alignment as well. We got all the parts here. Total was £605. £94 of that is VAT. Sorry, £94 of that is VAT. So I will be able to claim the VAT back, but obviously I'll pay VAT on the sale though. So around about £500, and then I guess you've got to take out probably the MOT's £40. So in terms of what the repairs were, is what I mean. So yeah, about 450 quid in repairs other than the cost of the MOT. So let's get it on a spreadsheet and then see where we are maths wise on this one. In the figures from the Fusion there. So we put the Moores bill in there. I'm assuming I'm spending, let's say, roughly another £100 for ads. If I don't spend £100 on ads, then it'll be other miscellaneous odds and sods. Warranty, £100. I'm probably sending it out with a 30-day one, but I'm going to allow for the fact I might just do a 3-month one. And then we've got, so they've got the total there. We've got the VAT total, the sale price. I mean, we'll probably get knocked down 100 quid or so on that. So we'll probably take 100 off the bottom here, I'd say. So the margin was 1,565. So the margin, don't forget, let me get a pencil. I don't know my dirty finger. Don't forget, margin is the difference between what you buy the car for and what you sell it for, not minus all of the costs. So when most people on channels talk about how much they made on cars, a lot of them talk about the gross profit. They just take off the cost of buying the car versus what they sold it for. I say, yeah, I made £1,600 or whatever on the car. No, that's not the way it works. You need to know what the net profit is. So the margin is 1,565. Now, the other reason we need to know what the margin is because we need to pay that to the VAT man. So the VAT man is going to take £260. So this is another one of those horrible examples where the more you put into a car, the worse off you are. Because if you buy a car super cheap as a VAT registered business, if you buy it super cheap and your margin is large, your gross margin is large, you pay more VAT, even though you spent a fortune fixing it up. Now, obviously, people say you can claim the VAT back, but you can only claim back the VAT you spend, which is 157 there. So I'm still down £100 on the VAT. So the net is £499.33. Then add back in the VAT I'm going to claim is 656. Like I say, we'll probably get knocked down 100 quid. So I'm going to say, realistically, if we sell at that price, we'll make 500 quid. And hopefully it will sell at that price. Hopefully, again, the difficulty is you've got to find someone who appreciates the difference between a £2,000 one with a private seller and a £2,500 one with a dealer, and the work that's been done on the car. So against the actual purchase of the car itself, it looks like a strong profit margin, even against the overall costs. But obviously we know £500 is not a lot of margin, and when potentially someone could come back to you under the Consumer Rights Act for up to 6 months. So you might send it out the door with a 30-day warranty, but obviously under the Consumer Rights Act, they can come back to you anywhere within 6 months. But within 30 days, you're going to pretty much prove whether there's any existing faults with the car or not. After the car's gone over that 30 days, anything goes faulty then is likely to just be due to the general wear and tear of driving a 2007 car. So under law, wouldn't be covered. I said I'd do a roundup of all of them, didn't I? The Chevy Spark did a bit better on the Chevy Spark. We netted £789 on the Chevy Spark. That was a bit of luck because we thought initially, this is again, like I say, you might go, wow, you did well there. But when we bought it, it had an overheating problem, didn't it? Did it have an overheating problem? It had a water loss problem anyway, and we thought we were on a total bust. Turns out we just need to change the water pump out. Still spent a lot of stuff getting it ready. we put a 3-month warranty on that one. The repairs weren't too bad on that £300, but when you add everything else in, we ended up spending £2.5 on it with a net of £789. So add in the Peugeot. I can't be bothered to go back and find a sheet for the Peugeot, but I think the Peugeot was like £300-400. Probably, it's safe to say, probably around £1,500 across the 3 cars, about £500 net margin. Now, obviously, that £1,500 is then subject to tax. Income tax, which is probably about £600 on that, so maybe about a true net of £900, and then we haven't actually factored in any costs for this as well. So you could probably take it on each one of those costs. Let's say it needs to make a contribution of £100 each car towards the costs. So your true net profit across 3 cars is about £600, as in what physically goes in your pocket. Now, obviously, if one of those cars springs one issue, in this day and age, with the way things cost, labour and so forth, that profit could be completely wiped out. Which is why, once again, people say, oh, well, I went to a dealer and he bought my car off me for £1,800 and out on the forecourt for, what did we sell it for? £3,400. So, you know, dealers rip you off and then mark your cars up massively. Again, it's not what you're looking at on the screen. You're not seeing the full story of what goes on in the background, especially if, like I say, you then want a dealer to put out cars at the sort of level you want them to, and also have the recourse if you have problems with the cars. They can't work off the margins you want. You want them to mark a car up by £500 and do all of this work. Someone said to me the other day when we were talking about buying cars as well, they said, you know, what you give in part exchange should reflect how much margin you've got in the car that you're selling to them. That's utter rubbish. If you over allow on one part exchange because you've got a lot of margin in the car you're selling, and then you have problems like I've got to cover it yet. We've got to do a timing chain on the car now. You know, you need them when you make decent profit out of a car. You need that to cover a lot of other problems with other cars. So it's an average across all of them you need to look at. You can't run a business looking at each deal individually and saying, oh, because I've got good margin in that, I'll allow £500 on part exchange. Because then when the other car goes wrong and you need to spend £500 on it, you need that in the pot. Hopefully all that makes sense anyway. But like I say, I'm not here to say that car dealers don't make money. Of course, we make money. What I just want to say, as always, is we don't make anywhere near as much money as you think we do. So when you go along and look at these cars, sub 5K, and you get these messages where people are trying to knock £500 off the price, that's pretty much what they've got in the car. If you're trying to knock £500 off their car, they ain't going to give it to you. And it's not because they're difficult and they're an idiot and they're being a div. It's because they don't have the margin to do that. Just isn't possible especially in the sub 5K stuff. Like I said, any car you go to look at, work it out on the basis. If you want to know how much a dealer's making at a deal, work it out as a net profit, net to them. Likelihood is around about 10%. Around about 10%. I know that doesn't work on new cars. Again, they're totally different kettle of fish. But on a used car, the net profit is around about 10%. So if you're asking for more than 10% of the car's value for a discount, you're not going to get it. And in fact, to be honest, what I'd say as well is the way that all these platforms work, where they value your vehicles for you and tell customers whether they've got a great price, poor price or high price. If you're going to look at a car that already says great price or fair price, you shouldn't really be asking for any money off it at all, because the system's already decided against the average across the rest of the country, that is a fair price. And it's only the dealers and only the cars where you see it staying high price that you should be knocking down, unless there's something very special about that vehicle. Anyway, as always, massive thanks for watching. Don't forget to stay safe while you're out there buying your cars. Make sure you get your car vertical checks done. The link is in the description down below. And I'll see you on the next one and show you a bit more real life car trading. Thanks again. See you soon.